Hello and welcome to Climate Check with me, Mary Mwiikisa. I'm so glad to be in your company when we continue to discuss issues around environmental protection and climate action. Now, today on the program, we focus on one unfortunate incident that occurred on the Copper Belt where a major environmental disaster recently happened. And of course, it's on the Copper Belt, and this is where acid pollution from Sino-Metals Leach Zambia Limited has contaminated the Mwambashi and Kafue rivers in Kitwe, resulting in environmental degradation and harm to the aquatic life and the environment. Now, this incident occurred, according to the reports, when the tailings storage dam wall collapsed, releasing material into the surrounding environment, including the rivers. We will be discussing that on the program, and also later on we'll be focusing on the flash flooding that has characterized Lusaka City recently. And of course, also on the program, we will show you a report where the Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations recently held a training towards climate action. Join me on the other side. We start the program by showcasing a report where the Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations, FAO, recently held a training to enhance knowledge around climate action with the civil society organizations and various other stakeholders. Our staffer, Dominic Davis Chifumbe, attended the training.
The Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations, through the Facility for Action on Climate Empowerment to achieve the nationally determined contribution, launched a training program in Lusaka to transform climate education. The initiative is aimed at empowering community-based organizations, non-governmental organizations, and youth groups working in climate change, forestry, agriculture, and community development. Vincent Ziwa is a project coordinator, and he shares the objective of the project.
Within this framework of the nationally determined contributions, the FAO and other consortium members, which include UNESCO, the UNITA, the University of Zambia, and the Copperbelt University, came up with this project to support the government.
Right.
And in supporting the government in achieving the nationally determined contribution, looked at the aspect of behavioral change as an element that has been missing in many of the climate change actions. So this training is part of that whole picture of how can we contribute through behavioral change science. So we have been training a network of non-governmental organizations that have volunteered to work with the first NDC project to give them tools on behavioral change science as they facilitate their works on climate change actions.
Right.
So this was a training on aspects of behavioral change science.
The event was also attended by key partners and stakeholders who added their voice.
We work together with the local authority, who in this case have had their CDF restructured to promote climate building resilience. So we will get down into the grassroots to execute programs that are in line with mitigation, resilience building, as well as adaptation. There's a lot of gaps when it comes to climate knowledge, but with First NDC, I've noticed that they are enlightening us with regards to Agenda 2030, NDC's Sustainable Development Goals. So that enables various sectors to understand their role, the gaps that are involved, and how they can best chip in order to be role players. Because as DMMU or the Kawamba office, as we always say, disaster management is everybody's responsibility. So when sectors are exposed to such knowledge, it gives them an opportunity to understand how best they can fit in the overall picture.
Participants appreciated the initiative by highlighting how it will enhance climate action.
This training has been very good and very nourishing because we've learned a lot about behavioral change approaches, okay, where you use the donkey whip. Yeah, so many times when we go in the fields, we fail to tell people what it is, okay, that they can do to mitigate climate change.
This training that we have been doing, after it has opened our mind on how we've been able to implement this project. So we focus learning on agriculture, energy, and forest, because these are the areas that are actually more impacted with the impact of climate change. So the NDC implementation, where after Zambia is going to contribute to the implementation of NDC. So this learning are focusing on behavioral change as the major target, so that once people or the audience or young people or the children learn how to dispose their waste, for example, you find someone buy a banana, then he peels, then he just throw away in the environment. They're not considering that who is going to pick up the dirt that you have thrown out. So now this behavior change that we are putting in, that we want to educate them that once I buy something like a banana, I should be able to dispose the waste in the right place. So, and this mindset, it takes a lot of time for them to build up, for someone to understand the importance of protecting the environment.
It's a wild training, but let me acknowledge the efforts that government has made with its partners. It's a UN training which is focused on behavioral change. So what we've learned is that behavioral sciences are very important in terms of changing behavior, so that we are able to alter the behavior so that people are compliant with the best actions that we can take to reduce the degradation of our environment and reduce the impact of climate change.
Such initiatives are encouraged as they continue to enhance the capacity of Zambia's civil society organizations, integrate behavioral science and effective climate education at the core of the climate change activities. Dominic Davis Chifumbe, reporting for Climate Check in Lusaka.
Welcome back to Climate Check. And of course, now we focus on the recent unfortunate story that came out of the Copper Belt, where Mwambashi and Kafue rivers were polluted recently. And joining me in studio is Dr. Mwiikisa, who is chairperson of the Engineering Registration Board at the Engineering Institution of Zambia, EIZ. Doc, thank you so much for making time to join me on Climate Check.
Thank you, Mary, and with the viewers.
All right. Now, let's understand your first reaction to what happened on the Copper Belt recently.
First of all, as EIZ, we are the engineers in this country, and it is regrettable to see that our engineering organization has been involved in such a very bad incident. We're talking about 50 million liters of concentrated acid getting into the Mwambashi and Kafue River. Definitely, that is very regrettable. And immediately, we instituted a team of experts to go to site and see what could have caused that. I think those are the things we will discuss in our interview.
Okay.
Yes.
So let's understand your preliminary findings into this issue. What has led to this unfortunate incident?
Yeah. First of all, if you look at this incident, it's not isolated. We have had them in the past.
Yes.
Yes, of course, they have been controlled in the of late. Now, the issue is about safety culture, a general lack of adherence to safety regulations and best practice. Because we are talking about 1.8 in terms of the pH of acid. That is pure acid, 1.8. Now, that, which means even if those where people working at site had to fall into that tailings dam, definitely they would have melted.
Exactly.
Yeah. So the safety culture there, the primary investigation was that there is no adherence to the safety regulations and best practice by these cyanometers, which Zambia, which is one of our members in engineering. Then also we found that there is no design, the design and competency of the structure, because when we looked at the structure itself, during the primary investigation, we find that there had some cracks. We observed that there was uncompacted walls, inconsistent with the wall thickness. And now with the ground movement plus the climate change, where there's heavy rains, this should have fallen. Now, this is where we're saying that if the organization had a safety culture, they could have depicted this component. Another issue is just technical negligence. The storage of such high volume of concentrated acid in an insecure dam point to possible negligence, because see, that is insecure, and you have got that dangerous 50 million liters of products in a secured environment. That was pure technical negligence, that area.
We've had several cases in the past where, there's been talk about engineering works in this country. There was talk about the Longacres Bridge. There was talk about the Society Building House. There's been different cases, including mining accidents. And one wonders how much compliant your members are and how much attention they pay to the quality of the works that they preside over as your members, knowing very well that if I mess up, these are the consequences.
First of all, we have got a fully fledged disciplinary committee which looks at such professional incompetency, professional misconduct as well. So the charges run from one, grabbing your practicing license. We revoke your practicing license. And others have gone up to even sending some to jail, where you are jailed because of technical negligence in this matter. Looking at what has been affected, the gravity of the matter, some will end up in jail, others will need to be fined, and others will need to grab their license from them, which means they are not able to provide and safeguard life in this country.
Looking at even just the fish that died, like a lot of fish died. Of course, aquatic life has been affected. A lot of organisms in the rivers have been affected, including water, drinking water in some parts of the Copper Belt. One wonders to say, look, before this was discovered, maybe a day before it was discovered, this has been happening, and people have been drinking this water. And it seems like it's business as usual for some of these things to continue happening, because it's not the first time a mine is involved in such a situation. Going forward, how do you think you will approach this kind of issues?
That's a very good question. You see, the mines operation, there are a lot of watchdogs which comes in play. There is ZEMA, there is the Mine Safety Department. And those watchdogs, they have got our engineers. So if you go to ZEMA, somebody who does inspection of these works and so on, they are probably carrying one of our licenses. So these are our members. And as an institution, what we are emphasizing that there is urgent need to strengthen the capacity of the watchdog institutions and ensure that all tailings and water dams across the mining sector are inspected, they are recertified and operated in compliance with the international engineering standard. So I'm urging our engineers out there working for these watchdog institutions, please, the long arm of the law will catch up with you if they find that you are involved in the technical negligence. We don't want the country to be spending so much colossal sum of money trying to repair the environment, when this could have been avoided if our engineers done the right thing. So definitely what we are saying as an institution is that we want the watchdogs to wake up, let them get back to their works, let them go and recertify, look at the tailings, and let them issue them fresh certificates to ensure that the country is confident in what's happening.
Okay. And what is your word to companies that engage engineers on ensuring that they get the right people?
Yeah. So, and mostly you find that such competency and maintenance negligence comes in when there is no respect to professionalism as well. This is where you just want to have cheap labor from the market and so on. So I want to urge the mining houses there and other organizations, please, can you make sure that you recruit competent, qualified engineers to do the work? Where you fail to find them on the market, please come to EIZ. We have got a database of engineers, both who are at national level, international level, regional level. We can bring them on board for the socio-economic development of this country. We don't want our engineers to be involved in such, and that's why I'm saying that unfortunately, if anyone will be found wanting in this circumstance, a long arm of the law would catch them.
You're watching Climate Check. We take a short break. On the other side, I will continue talking to Dr. Mike Konsef, who is Engineering Registration Board Chairperson from the Engineering Institution of Zambia, EIZ. And this time around, we'll be focusing on the flash flooding that has been happening in Lusaka City.
The recent heavy rains have transformed the landscape of some parts of the capital city into a mini sea. Once a vibrant city filled with life, is now a place of struggle, survival, and heartbreak for some residents. Improvised water vessels such as drums and washing basins are now a lifeline, ferrying families from their doorsteps to the land of safety. In Matero constituency, the situation is worse as one life has been lost due to the floods. Newly appointed DMMU National Coordinator Norman Chipakupako's first assignment is to address the situation.
George compound is that we have 50 families in crisis. And we were sitting down this morning to decide what action we're going to take. And the action we've taken is to immediately respond by providing the necessary resources and equipment so that our people are not seriously impacted. We know that people have lost their houses. We know that there's a death here. We want to make sure that our people are comfortable.
And Lusaka District Commissioner Rosa Zulu has toured some affected areas in the district. In Chawama Township, the flood story is not different as some affected residents have to wade in water to and from their homes.
Government will come with a solution here. So whatever government will come up with, please let us work together. But meanwhile, give us the names. I know we have satellite people here. Please let us have genuine names. Yeah. House by house. Okay. You come at this house, you ask them who is the owner of this house. They tell you and then you write the names. Bring those names so that we see how best we can help.
The affected residents have thanked government for acting swiftly and called for more help.
Kuno vamene vichitika manzi yazula tilibekoenda na vana mvula inaloka mailo maningi manyumba inangu yanapwanyika monga ine pano so mnyumba inazula na kubedi inazula na kangwano chosa katundu ili yonse katundu.
DMMU has assured the affected residents of more aid to address the situation. Mark Ziligone, ZMBC News, Lusaka.
Doc, earlier on, we're talking about the mining pollution that happened on the Copper Belt, but I'd like us to come back to Lusaka City and talk about the flash flooding that is happening. What is happening in the city? This is not the only country where the city receives rains. Why are we the only ones getting this flash flooding?
Thank you so much. Definitely, the weather has changed. The climate has changed,
yes.
And we're experiencing a lot of rains. If you remember, some 25 years ago, we used to anticipate the rains. On 24th October, it will rain. But it's not the case anymore, which means that there's been some dynamics change. And human beings are made in such a way that also they need to adapt and be resilient to that. Now, if you look at Lusaka, Lusaka sits on a stone,
yes.
On a rock.
Yes.
No wonder if you have got a plot, you're trying to do a foundation, you're going to hit on a rock. Mm-hmm. Very expensive. Now, that means that the planning must be done in a very integrated manner. The people must come on board and say, how are we planning this area? How is the geographical and geological structure of the ground of this place? Now, we realize that we are keeping so much water. We are staying with it. That water is supposed to be drained to go to the wetlands. Mm-hmm. But because there was a bit of some poor planning, mm-hmm. And now we have built that house, the 20 by 20 plots, 30 by 30, on where water was supposed to pass. Mm-hmm. And water behaves like an elephant. You disturb it, it will still come and eat you like that.
Yes.
So that is the problem we're having in the flash because of now we have got poor drainage systems. Mm-hmm. We need to have proper drainage systems such that when it rains, the water is collected and taken downstream. Mm-hmm. But that is not the case because where the drain is supposed to pass, and that is where Madam Mary has built the house, that becomes a challenge. Yeah.
Do we understand the extent of building on recharge zones as a people? Especially those in leadership and those that issue these plots. Of course, before a place is opened up or degazetted or whatever it is that they decide to do to open it up for construction, how much consultation is done? Because For example, Forest 27 is a recharge zone. It's one of our biggest recharge zones, but we've messed it up. Chalimbana and some areas like marshlands, you have places where it's supposed to suck out water and release it during the dry season, but now we have disturbed all that. How much consultation is done and how much knowledge do those that are in charge have regarding the consequences of some of these decisions?
The good part about this country, Zambia, it has got very good legal framework, policies and regulations in place. But you see, it's where they are not applied by some people. Otherwise, the government of Zambia is doing very well in terms of the policy directions, in terms of the legal framework being put in place. But it's where some people, they don't want to adhere to those regulations. Because before you build a house, the first thing is that plot must be properly given to you with all the credentials, and then you have got a plan for the plot. You go back to the local authority, and the local authority must approve that plan. Where are you building? And is that place well gazetted? But where it comes in, there is the cadarism and other vices comes in. You'll find there's impunity. Anyone else can just do whatever they want to do. That is where the problem comes in. Otherwise, the urban and regional planning must have a master plan in their offices. So when I get a plot, I go to them, then they tell me, no, Doc, you're not supposed to build here. You're supposed to build in this manner. And that is what is expected. But that you find people are going ahead to do the construction without talking to the local authority. That's a challenge.
Is there a way out?
It has come now. Now we provide solutions. See, this is not an engineering problem. That's why we keep on saying. Because, see, some people are supposed to listen. They're supposed to listen that obey the rules of the land. Now, you have caused this problem, and we are engineers. We now will try to attempt to resolve them. Now, in attempting to resolve this issue, what we need is probably look at harvesting of the water. How best the water can be harvested, taken to a treatment plant, and then throw it back to the people to use. That is one of the solution is harvesting of the water. Because there's too much water and we need this water so we can harvest. Another issue is looking at the drainage system. How can we improve them so that we can expand? If you look at the Bombay drainage, if we see that the dimension is not that much good, maybe it can be expanded to carry so much volume of water and maintained. Not only expanding and we go back home, we sleep and start snoring. No. Is to ensure that there is a monitoring of the drainage so that it can be maintained where there is a failure and so on.
Doc, you've touched on the drainage system in Lusaka City. We had an interview a fortnight ago on this show with the Planners Institute, and they said even if you unblocked all the drainages, because we were of the view that some of the drainages are blocked, so they were saying even if you unblocked all the drainages in the city, they would drain that water, but where are the drainages taking the water to? So the other issue is that the water is drained, is collected, but there's nowhere it's going. There's no specific place where this Bombay drainage is going to take this water for us to continue draining. I don't know what your view is as EIZ.
So that is where we should have integrated solution coming in. The planners comes in, the architects and us engineers, because already people have built where the water is supposed to pass. That is the problem. You see some of the houses where water comes in high volume and goes through the window. Which means that is where water was supposed to pass initially. Now, what is needed is to improve the infrastructure, see how best we can harvest the water before it reaches that house. That is one alternative. The other solution, it is to resettle the people. We say, okay, can we please leave this place because don't want you to die. Let's break this house and put up a drainage. That is another solution. Of course, that's got a cost implications. We are open. We have opened the doors. We want all the professional bodies, including the economists, because this cannot be done without funds. Those are the economists, the financiers. Can you please meet at EIZ? We find the solution.
Dr. Nsefo, thank you so much for making time.
Thank you so much,
and
Mary.
I'm looking forward to hosting you on this show again. This time, you coming to tell me we have found a solution to this flooding, to the perennial flooding. It will no longer happen. This is what I'm looking forward to.
Thank you so much.
1 year from now.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for making time.
Thanks so much. Thank you.
This is Climate Check. We take a short break. We'll be right back. We have come to the end of the program for this week. Do make a date with me next week, same time, same channel. Remember to do your part in protecting our environment from anything that could harm it, because ultimately you will be a victim of anything that affects your environment. My name is Mary Mwiikisa. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.